So my movement to counteract the negativity of these movements we're discussing is going to be the DAFA movement. DAFA, descendants of African freedmen in America. Remember, Loom, after freedom came, we were known as what? Freedmen. That was a legal classification. We were the freedmen. My 3 times great-grandfather George fought in the Civil War. My 4 times great-grandfather Steve fought in the Civil War. My cousins Lewis and Charles, the sons of Frederick Douglass, fought in the Civil War. I'm a descendant of freedmen who fought to keep this country from being divided. And we have rights as freedmen, so we're fighting as descendants of African, not no American. You ain't never putting that in no title, no organization of mine. Descendants of African freedmen in America.
Yo family, real quick. I'm proud to announce the soft launch of Sincere Love to God's new book, From the Womb to Illmatic, a hip-hop-inspired blueprint for unlocking your child's inner genius. This ain't your average parenting book. This is for the culture, inspired by Illmatic, built around his own son Seven's early development, and packed with real tools to help parents turn everyday moments into genius-level learning. If you've ever wanted to give your child a head start without losing your roots, this book is for you. Available now on Amazon. Order now and leave a 5-star review. You already know, we raising brilliance around here.
Hi, I'm 7, and I'm the superhero. That means I ask big questions, I make big moves, and I come from something powerful. In this series, I broke through change, embraced my culture, and unlocked the gifts that my ancestors gave me. These books are for kids like me, kids with heart, with pride, and with big dreams. Come join the journey. Collect all 4 7 the Superhero books and unlock your power. Available on Amazon and Kindle now. Order your copy today.
Here's the way it is. You live in direct relation to the poets, the heroes, and the sheroes you have. Always honor the elders. Then you honor yourself. Honor women. You honor yourself. Honor men. You honor yourselves.
All right. Let's go. Peace and black love, family. Welcome to another episode of Sincere Love the Godcast. I am the God Sincere Love. Back in the house once again with a special episode for y'all tonight. Y'all know we're not usually here on Saturday nights like this, but we here tonight, goddammit. And we got a good one coming up for y'all. I got some great guests coming on to chop it up with me tonight. So what I need y'all to do before I introduce them, I need y'all to hit that like button for me. Share this out on your social media platforms. Let everybody know that we about to chop up some real good game. And share this out on your social media platform. I think I said that. But what I meant to say was make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you can be reminded whenever we go live or upload new content here on the channel. Shout out to my lovely co-host, Nicey Girl. I know she probably might be pulling up in the chat soon, you know what I mean? But shout out to my sister Nicey Girl. Shout out to y'all coming up in the building early. Shout out to Mama Love in the building early with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you, Mama Love. Oh yeah, y'all piling up in here quick. Y'all must know what time it is tonight. Y'all must know what time it is tonight. You said, oh, we here on a Saturday? You said we here on a Saturday? Y'all doing the Birdman hand rub, ain't it? Yeah. We gotta do this, family. Nicey Girl and I on our broadcast last Sunday, we talked about your boy the Prince of Pan-Africanism, the Prince of Pancake, some people call him, the Prince of Pan Pizza, Dr. Umar Johnson. We talked about him and his new movement, his new organization, the Dafa movement, the descendants of African freedmen in America. And so we talked about that a little bit on our broadcast last week. And we kind of just, clown the whole situation for the most part. But tonight we're going to get into some of the things that he was saying, and we're going to unpack some of the BS talking points that he was throwing out there to try to justify whatever he called himself doing. His next failure that he about to launch. And so to help me do that tonight, I got two wonderful guests coming up. I want to give a shout out to my brother Knowledge Born. My brother Knowledge Born had me on Do the Knowledge Radio about 2 weeks ago or so. And I was introduced to a few great souls, few great people in the delineation movement representing the FBA real heavy. And one of them was one of our guests for tonight, Miss K Fighter. Welcome to the Godcast, Miss K Fighter. Unmute your microphone for me.
Yes. Thank you, brother, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And we're going to chop it up real good tonight.
Yes, indeed. If y'all don't know this sister right here, y'all need to get to know her real quick. So let everybody know real fast where they can find you at, where they can follow you at on social media and stuff like that.
Sure. You can follow Thorough Black Talk Worldview on all social media platforms. And follow us. I mean, we chop it up good. We don't play no games on Thorough Black Talk. You see the bridge behind me. It's Brooklyn all day.
Yes, indeed. I see the full green shirt and all that representing.
There you
go. Old Brooklyn, not this new shit. And another guest that we got coming on tonight, y'all should know this guest that we got coming on as well. She be representing out here in these streets, boots on the ground, as well as online, putting in work, giving the tethers all types of problem, giving them all types of pain out here in these streets. And so I want y'all to welcome to the Godcast our good sister, Breuck. Breuck, welcome to the Godcast. Appreciate having you on. Make sure you unmute that microphone for us. How you doing, beloved?
Hello, everyone. You got my big sis up there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't go nowhere without the OG. You know what I'm saying? And yes, I'm happy to be here. Send them emails.
Yes, indeed. So now talk about it though. For people that don't know who you are, let them know where they could follow you at, and let them know about them emails that needs to get sent out.
Okay, you can find me on Instagram at Breuck.evenmelanin. You can find me on TikTok at Breuck.evenmelanin. You can find me on YouTube at Breuck. And you can find me on Twitter at Breuck on X, right? And those are my social medias. So basically, what we're doing, I work with the U.S. Freedmen Project on reparations and delineation. So as we're going to talk later on today, when people are sitting there talking about what is the movement doing, we are the doers. Okay, we're not just online yapping all day. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with that, but people think that that's all it is. But no, we got bills on the board. So when I ask people for emails, I'm asking people to send emails to our senators, our legislators here in New York. You don't have to be from New York to send these emails. You could be from anywhere in the world. You don't even have to be FBA to send emails. You could be an ally. You know what I'm saying? If you are truly an ally, you could send these emails from anywhere, right? They are pre-written. You don't have to worry about what to say and how to say it. It's already done for you. So you're sending emails to our legislators regarding one, we have a reparations commission that holds hearings right now that's going to be going on all the way until January of 2027. It is founded, that whole commission is founded on an unconstitutional bill, and it is unconstitutional because it is race-based. They throw out words like African descent, which is race-based, right? So which deems the bill unconstitutional. So we will never ever be able to get reparations based on that bill. Ed Blum, Ed Blum is already, because I'll be mixing up his name with Ed Buck.
Yes, Blum.
Ed
It's
Blum,
Blum.
Ed Blum is waiting in the wings. Just, he already said, as soon as y'all do anything with this bill, I'm gonna smack it down. And he is the person that has already smacked down affirmative action using the Asians. He has already smacked down DEI. So he's not playing when he says that he is going to smack down this unconstitutional bill. So you might have seen some of me and my big sis Keisha and President Divine of the U.S. Freedmen Project and others, our other family members, going viral for our testimony at these bogus reparations hearings, right? And so that is us. That is a glimpse of us playing defense to this unconstitutional bill. But at the same time, while we're playing defense, we're playing offense, right? And by offense, I mean President Divine and our champion assembly person, Nikki Lucas, have written and created a constitutionally sound bill for reparations. So we are gathering emails to push the legislators to sign on as sponsors and co-sponsors for our constitutionally sound bill, right? So that's when you're going to that link, bit.ly/BREUCK call to action. That is what you are going to do. You're going to go there. There's going to be 5 separate emails. So the first email is regarding that about our bills. If you want to take a look at the bills, because we are 100% transparent. So when we say things like, you can also see who the legislators are who signed on for the unconstitutional bill and who the legislators are who have not signed on for the constitutionally sound bill, right? So you can take a look at that. So when we say things like, that the diaspora is against us on trying to do our reparations, we have the proof because it's written on, they signed their name to the unconstitutionally sound bill. So I don't even have to do anything. But if you would like to take a look at that because you think I'm a liar, you can go ahead. The bills are there for you to also, on that same link, the bills are there for you to peruse at your whim. So the next email, that, because I said that there are 5. So the next email that's there, the next 3 emails are going to be for delineation and disaggregation, right? And this, my dear FBA family and allies, is the key to everything, not just reparations, but any type of set-asides that we would like to get from the government, any type of set-asides that we would like to get from the state, any type of set-asides that we would ever like to receive is wrapped up in us delineating from the rest of from everybody because of the minority group, because that is why we can't ever get anything just for us, because they have to use, because you can't get it based on race, so they have to use terms like minority set-asides, urban areas, historically Black area, because that's something else that they're doing. So even though they gentrified you out the historically Black area, they still been giving money to the historically Black area when there ain't no historically Black people living in there anymore.
Speak on it.
Kathy Holcomb just did that. I have to call her ass out on that. I also call her Viola Swamp. And for those of you who remember that book, Miss Nelson is Missing, she looked like Viola Swamp to me. So this is what we are doing here. So the delineation. So we're the emails the second email. I might have got this order mixed up because I'll be mixing them up sometimes. But the 2, 3, and 4 are those emails based on that, right? So one email is going to go to the Black Legislative Task Force, right? Because they're the Black Legislative Task Force. A lot of them are Caribbean or of other melanated descent, or I don't even want to say that anymore because my big sis Keisha already told me that everybody has melanin except for albinos. So melanated, our hue of melanin descent. But a lot of them aren't FBA. So they should be doing this for us, right? So this is how, because understand that these legislators work for us. We don't work for them. We tell them what to do. So just like we would make fun of white tea people anytime it was like a little pothole in front of their house, they'd be like, I'm writing a letter to my senator. So when you're sending these emails, essentially you're doing the same thing. You are writing a letter to our senators. Like I said, you don't have to be from New York to do that. So send a letter to the Black Legislative Task Force. The next one is going to go to the legislators that signed on to delineate and disaggregate for the MENA and the AAPI group. They've done this before. They just did it for the Asians. The Asians wanted to delineate from each other. The Chinese don't want to be lumped in with the Japanese. Japanese don't want to be lumped in with the Thai because they said, hey, all of our needs are different. You know what I mean? So we don't want, you don't lump us all together. Same thing with the Muslims. The Muslims after 9/11 said, hey, we don't want to be white no more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've been persecuted under the 9/11. So now they feel that I believe that they are the first group in history that want to delineate from being white. But anyway, that's what happened, right? So they have delineated from each other. So since these people have done this already for these two groups, they should be more than willing to do it for us because we are the oldest and largest ethnic group in this country. So we need to have our own designation. And in fact, when President Devine is having meetings with these legislators, that is some of the things that he's hearing. How come this hasn't been done already for the oldest, largest ethnic group in the country? And so it is, when you're sending these emails, you are also putting to shame these legacy organizations, right? Because why haven't they done it when we are the oldest, largest ethnic group in the country, when we've had people like the NAACP, Narcan and Cobra, National Action Network, who supposedly, December 12th, who supposedly have been fighting for reparations for some time, but we don't even have our own ethnic group. So it is showing these legislators who really has the grassroots power, who really has the Black people support behind them, American Black people support behind them. So these emails serve a number of purposes, right? But the main ones being to force them to sign on as sponsors and co-sponsors for our bills, right? And the last one goes to Kathy Holcomb, aka Viola Swamp, and so who knew that the bill was unconstitutional even when she signed it into law, because President Devine and the U.S. Freedmen Project had a meeting with her legal team to let her know. And she still did it. You know why? Because it was a show, a dog and pony show, a act, okay, a play. So she can just pretend like she's doing something where she know daggone well it's unconstitutional. Okay. So we need you to send those emails. Because like I said, it serves a number of purposes, but the main reason is to get legislators to sign on as sponsors and co-sponsors for our bill. Since I started this email letter writing campaign, right, I just want to, give props to the family. Y'all have sent over 50,000 emails, and I need y'all to keep going. Okay, keep going. And if you sent it already, send it again, honey.
Yeah.
Get your family who is now pissed off about Shaduki. Get them to send emails, okay? Because they might not have understood what this FBA thing was about, why we needed to delineate, but they see it now. Send it to them. Be a missionary. I don't own this link, okay? Take this link and share it with the world. Be a missionary with this link, okay? I don't have to be there for you to talk about this link. Get everybody you know to send these emails. And I also want to say that since I started this email letter writing campaign, we have picked up 4 assembly people and 2 senators as sponsors and co-sponsors for our bill. So what we are doing is working. And I don't like to say boots on the ground because I was informed that term related to how many soldiers they expected to lose. So since we are from New York, you know what I'm saying? I like to say we are Tims on the neck, okay? We are Tims on the neck of these legislators, and we are doing the work. So when people sit there and tell you that it's just a thing online, let them know that Breuck and President Devine of the U.S. Freedmen Project are not just online. And my big sis Keisha, she be there with us too, and advising us. We couldn't do it without OGs like my big sis Keisha and my big brother Tab, because their knowledge of New York history is essential and gives us the foundation to do what we do. So, you know, because they walked, we now can take that, they handed the baton over to us, and now we can keep going the rest of the way. So, please send those emails. So I hope I wasn't too long. Send those emails, those emails. But this is the first time I'm speaking for your audience as far as the email. So I thought it was, you know, necessary. For
Very necessary.
Complete picture. Okay. bit.ly/BREUCK call to action. And it's written right over there, but lowercase, because Bitly is very temperamental.
Nah, very important, very important. Thank you for that. And yeah, family, I think some people was asking as many as you like, multiple emails. You could do it every day. Me and Nicety have sent out multiple emails.
Come on.
We encourage y'all to do the same thing. Send them emails. You know what I'm saying? Very important work. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you broke that down.
What happens here will spread across the country, because I also like to mention that our bills are so tight because us outside of Florida, you know what I mean, we have the oldest Afro immigrants in the country.
Yeah.
So they have been in New York and in Florida the longest amount of time. So we had to make sure that our bill was squeaky tight so that they can't even dip a pinky toe in it. So you now, because of how tight our bill is, you could take that, just copy and paste it in your state or your city, and then we can go federal with this. So this is, you know, we learn from California. We learn from their wins and their losses. And so now we're going to take up the next part. This is phase 2, state 2. Okay. And we're going to, have success here as well.
Yes, indeed. That's the blueprint. The blueprint hasn't been laid. And so,
right.
You know, it's easy work for the rest of us.
Yes.
Easy work for the rest of us. Copy and paste. See how that works?
Copy and paste. Literally. Just copy and paste and just remove New York and put in your state here.
Yeah. And then also, too, if I might add that, you know, when it comes to written correspondence, whether it's through letters or through emails, every written correspondence is stored in the archives. So 100 years from now, when our great-grandchildren research this FBA delineation movement, and if they visit the archives, they will see your name in those archives.
Dope. Yeah. All right, so I know y'all waiting for us to get into this thing. I don't know how much of this video we're going to be able to get through tonight, because it's a lot of BS, and we're going to have to hit that pause button and unpack some of the things that y'all going to hear. I know a lot of y'all already saw the video and heard what Umar was talking about, but we're going to unpack it the way that we do. You know what I'm saying? And so this is going to be part 1. And so there will be a follow-up to tonight's broadcast this coming Monday. We will have the brother Tad and President Divine come on Monday, and we will do part 2 to this broadcast here and continue to break this thing down some more. So y'all stay tuned for that. Again, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you're tuning in from Breuck's channel, salute to y'all. Make sure y'all come over to my channel, subscribe to my channel. Make sure y'all go to K Fighter's channel, subscribe to her channel as well. And, you know, vice versa. All of my people, y'all make sure y'all tap in with the sisters as well. All right. So let's go ahead and get into this thing. And we're going to start from the very beginning. Oh, man, I'm calling my phone. No, not tonight, my brother. Not right now. All right. And I got to watch out for these ads, too, because I know it's going to have some ads popping up and stuff like that, too. Hold on, y'all. Let me handle this real quick.
Called FBA.
Okay.
Pan-Africanism and FBA. How do they contrast or complement one another?
Okay. Well, first of all, Pan-Africanism is the black man's oldest formal political ideology. We gave birth to the first free, independent black nation in the world, Haiti, right? Pan-Africanists are some of your greatest black leaders, your greatest black organizers. If you're looking at achievements, nobody compares to Pan-Africanists. Nobody. Hebrews, Moors, Nawapians, Gods and Earths, Nation of Islam, I love them all. Nobody compares to Pan-Africanism. If you want to go achievement for achievement, you can put all them together. You don't touch us. Okay, and I say that respectfully, but it's the truth. Okay.
You on mute.
Yeah, we can't hear you, brother.
My bad. Appreciate that. My bad. I said I'm gonna stop it right there because Sister K Fighter, I know you said that you came out of the Pan-African movement.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You've been heavy in the Pan-African circles for a long time. And so what he said right there, I just want to start off by saying, first of all, it don't even make sense to compare a lineage to ideology. You know what I'm saying? When we talk about foundational Black Americans, everybody knows you're only talking about a lineage of people, an ethnic group, the oldest ethnic group in the country, like my sister Breuck broke down for y'all earlier. Everybody knows who we're referring to when we use that acronym FBA. And so to try to compare that to political ideology and say there you got more wins or more achievements than the other, that don't even make sense. It's a bad faith comparison. It's a bad faith argument to begin with. But I want my sister K Fighter, you know what I'm saying, to get into what was your take on that piece right there?
Well, first of all, he's not old enough to say such a thing. And he's not wise enough to say such a thing. When you look at movements, Pan-Africanism isn't the oldest. It's the American Black movement that is the oldest, because even in the beginning, in its inception, you had a lot of people of means, people of stature, who talked against Pan-Africanism from the beginning. Let's take New York for an example. When Black people were enslaved, if I will, under the Dutch here in New York, once their indentured servitude was done, they were allotted land. So you look at Midtown Manhattan all the way down to what is now Soho, that was our land. It wasn't given to us. We purchased it. The only parcel that was given to us is the area that we now call Washington Square Park. Prior to it being named Washington Square Park, it was called Land of the Blacks. And these people were doing business and commerce with each other throughout all of, what we now call America, prior to its name. When you look at the Declaration of Independence, for example, Thomas Jefferson, who was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, he was following a case that's very, very important. You have 4 Black men who were petitioning the government or the colonies for their freedom. Some of the wording that they used in their petition for freedom, Thomas Jefferson pulled out that wording and used it in what we now call the Declaration of Independence. So Black people identifying themselves as Black is the oldest, if you want to look at it that way. But a lineage is not an organization. A lineage is not an ideology. And you should never mix the two together, because when you do that, you give false information. And that's why I say he is not old enough or wise enough. Because if you are, you wouldn't have said such a thing.
Or slick enough, because he's really trying to be slick. He knows what he's saying. Yeah. He knows what he's doing. And that's why he tries to do a lot of fast talking. If you watch the entire video, you'll notice how he overtalks the host. He doesn't let the host ever complete a thought or finish his question or anything. You know what I'm saying? That's all part of that tactic. That's that con man shit. You know what I'm saying? But Breuck, did you want to add anything to that as far as Pan-Africanism is the oldest political ideology and they got the most accomplishments and all of that? Did you want to touch on that?
The most he just talks out of his behind. Because how can you sit here and say that they have the oldest he just deems everything that any Black American person has ever done as Pan-Africanism.
Right.
And that in itself is a problem. When he sits there and he talks about, erasure, he does not see how that is erasing us on our own land. Right. And this is the issue with Dr. Umar. He sees it because I watched the entire interview, which is why I was a little, you know what I'm saying? I watched the entire interview, even when he was talking about the erasure of the Caribbean nations, because if I can give you the whatchamacallit, the timestamp. But earlier in the video, he talked about how that the colonizers are trying to trick the Caribbeans up off their land because they want to live somewhere warm. But he does not see how Pan-African was used to trick us up off our land and get us to move to Africa so that they can have the land here. He refuses to acknowledge the foundational native indigenous presence that we have here on this land, even though anthropological proof has been put forth by both Black scholars, white scholars, and Native American scholars at this point, because even they are recognizing the Black natives that should have been recognized in the tribes that they refused to recognize for so many years. So all of this is, like I said, like you said, he's just a fast talking con man. And being that we are 3 New Yorkers, we are accustomed to listening to fast talking people and slowing you down and realizing the bullshit before you even get started.
Real talk. And I just want to add too, what are these accomplishments? You know what I'm saying? Because
hours.
In order to measure your accomplishments, you have to have clear goals, right? And so Pan-Africanism, as far as my understanding is concerned, the ultimate goal is to have unity amongst the diaspora. And so where has that been accomplished? If you could show me where that has been accomplished, then you can show me a Pan-African accomplishment. But if you can't show me that, then there are none. So all of these other things that you want to point to that have been done, like my sister Breuck has said, these are mostly just FBA points that have been put on the board that you're trying to attribute to Pan-Africanism. That's all that is.
And so, I would like to ask Keisha, my big sis Keisha, because I know I've heard her talk about this before. Can you go into the true origins of Pan-Africanism? Oh yeah, I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, let's get it.
Because I know I heard you talk about it before.
Yeah, when you look at Martin Delaney, when you look at Mr. Blyden, when you look at all of those men who started back then, they began to flip, except for Martin Delaney. They begin to flip when it comes to this ideology. They didn't believe it. Even all right, moving forward. The most successful group in the world is Black Americans, politically, legally, and socially. So, for example, I once belonged to a group called the United African Movement. That organization was founded by foundational Black Americans, right? There was nobody from the diaspora who helped anything with UAM. They were at the forefront of some of the most prominent racial cases in the late 80s, early 90s, from Tawana Brawley to Yusuf Hawkins to Howard Beach to all of it. They were in the center of what was happening at that time. And so you had maybe 1 or 2, people from Africa who came to those forums to listen to Dr. Clark, to listen to Dr. Ben, but they weren't leaders in any way. They didn't put their money where their mouth was. They weren't in the courtrooms when Alton and all those cats had to fight the court officers. They weren't in there. When John White, most recently, was arrested in jail for unaliving an Italian 17-year-old on Long Island who came to his home and attempted to assault him and his wife, and John White pulled out the pew pew and handled him accordingly. But where were the Caribbeans? Where were the Africans? Where were the Latinos? If you look at the Central Park case, right? Those black lawyers, they all were illegally disbarred. Only one person went home. His name was Michael Briscoe. And Michael Briscoe's legal representation was the attorney Automatics. And he went to the DA. He said, I want my 12 in the box right now. Because you know the burden of proof is always on the prosecution. It's never on the defense. And Michael Briscoe didn't serve any jail time. But when he went back to help the others, take Raymond Santana, for example, the Latino community said, no, we got this. You know, when he went and tried to advise some of the legal representation, because you got to remember, a lot of these lawyers, they suffered greatly, whether it was Colin Moore, and he was the only Trinidadian attorney, Joe Matt, all of these attorneys, they felt, they were hit hard for representing those boys. But again, where was the African diaspora for them? Where were the Africans for Yusuf Salom? Where were the Latinos for Raymond Santana? Where were they for McCrae? Where were they for Corey Wise? Where were they? They were nowhere to be found. And they still nowhere to be found. When you look at any legal precedent that was set here in the state of New York that took place during those times, nobody from the diaspora set foot in the courtroom, did any real legal advocacy, no real political advocacy, and no social advocacy either. When you saw that film about the Central Park young men, one thing they left out of it is that the United African Movement was the organization, along with Elambe Braff, raised the bail money for those boys. But you didn't see that in the film. Nobody from Africa did nothing. When you look at Gavin Cato, when he was unalive, right, by a hat in Crown Heights, it was the Caribbean community that sold out. We were holding the line. We were fist to cuffs with the hats on Eastern Parkway. It was the Caribbean community that said, no, we can't have all of this. Blase, blase. They the ones who sold out. And you still selling out. The mere fact that you could rename that community or Flatbush Little Caribbean, that's part of ethnic erasure for us, because Black Americans were the founders of Williamsburg and that area as well. So now you're going to call it Little Haiti. Now you're going to call it Little Caribbean. You too are part of the erasure. But they don't talk about it. You don't hear Pan-Africans talk about that. You don't hear Umar talk about that. You see what I'm saying? So it's crazy. It's crazy.
Real talk, man. And like you said, where's the diaspora? And I always say this too, because me and my brother DJ RP Beats, a lot of times when we go out and perform, you know, for people that don't know, I'm a hip hop artist as well. And my brother DJ RP Beats, that's my producer. And a lot of times we perform at like Pan-African festivals and stuff like that, RBG Fest and all of that type of stuff. And when we go there, it's nothing but FBAs there. The only exception is a few Rastafarians. I won't even say Jamaicans. I can't even generalize Jamaicans. It just be the Rastas. You know what I'm saying? That's really be the only exceptions. Africans are nowhere to be found at none of these events. You know what I'm saying? They're put on by foundational Black Americans. The vendors are foundational Black Americans. The performers, us, we foundational Black American. We the only ones that been waving that flag and upholding that shit. Real talk. And so let's try to get through some more of this video. I don't want y'all to.
Can I say one more thing about the Pan-Africanism?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I don't want y'all to speed through anything. We don't got to rush.
Okay.
Cook.
Good.
Please cook.
I've heard my big sis, she left this part out because she had a lot to say, which was necessary. But I've heard my big sis Keisha talk on at length about how Pan-African in its inception was created to uplift Africa, not even to bring all of us together. See, we think that's how we as Black Americans look at Pan-Africanism. We look at it as a way to bring us all together because that's how we look at it. That's how, when I was wearing red, black, and green, that's how I saw it. Global Blackness. That is what I, that was the interpretation that I had of it, not knowing that its origins was always to uplift Africa at the detriment of the diaspora.
And at the erasure of the diaspora, right? Everybody else supposed to be invisible.
There you go.
In generic.
And which is what Umar does.
Speaking
by
of Umar,
renaming everybody Africans.
Yeah. What the hell is a African freedman?
Don't even. Well, I'll wait till you get to that clip before I go into that and pick that apart.
All right, let's continue with the BS here. Y'all still rocking with us, by the way. Y'all, it's over 400 of y'all in the chat right now. Make sure y'all hit those like buttons. Hit those like buttons for us.
ADOSFBA. Respectfully, I'm going to go with both groups because they represent basically the same thing, but there are differences, right?
He knows that's a falsehood when he puts it as a group and makes the false comparison to ADOS, which is a group, a self-proclaimed group organization with chapters and leaders, and you got to sign up for this, and you could be exiled and all those other. Foundational Black Americans ain't got nothing to do with none of that, and he knows that. Just wanted to say that real quick.
So ADOS,
which is a descendant of slavery.
No, they're first. FBA comes later. Okay, but they both exist. FBA is more popular, right?
Okay.
ADOSFBA.
Imagine all right, let me let that ad go by real quick. We're gonna have to deal with that a little bit, those pop-ups, but I'll let that go by. And while I'm letting that go by, either one of y'all want to jump in there, go right ahead.
What, just about the name? You ready for me to pick apart that name?
Yeah, and anything that you want to jump on. I'm just gonna let the ad pass, but go ahead and cook.
So, African freedmen. First of all, Africans sold us. Let's start there.
Damn.
So how can we were never freedmen in Africa. They did not free us. When we left the shores of Africa, we were human trafficked and in bondage. And they never freed us. They sold us. We got our freedom on these shores.
Self-emancipated.
In America. Exactly. We here. So we are free. We can't be freedmen of Africa because Africa did not have us free. That's number one. Number two, American freedmen is a legal term because we were freed here. Therefore, we are the freedmen of America. That is why. Then I don't even know what I'm up to. Then I will go on to say, how can you sit here and say this is the problem with Pan-Africanism. They always negate the fact that there has always been two Americas happening at the same exact time on the same exact lands. We have our America and they have their America. He sits there and talks about how, you know what I'm saying, he's not going to take the white man's name, but studies and scientists and anthropological scientists have already uncovered the fact that America was the name here before they got here.
True.
So how can you sit? It's not the white man's name. It's not the colonizer's name. That was the name of the land that was here before they got here. But he's okay with Nigerians calling themselves Nigeria when Nigeria was named after a white woman.
Right. By a white woman.
He's okay with Caribbeans being Caribbeans when who made their flags?
Right.
Was it the king? Was it the queen? Now, Haiti, I'll give Haiti credit that Haiti was the name of of that land before whatchamacallit. But so was America was the name here as well. So when he sits there and he says these things And I don't believe that he doesn't know all the things that I just said. I don't believe that he doesn't know that. He's not an idiot.
Not at all.
He's not an idiot. He's an intelligent con man.
Right.
And he knows these
He
things.
definitely knows history.
But he tries to sweep it up, and that's why he likes to have interviews with that gentleman, because he knows that he doesn't know these things.
Exactly.
He would never come and sit down and have a conversation with someone like us, because we would be able to challenge him on all of the fake bullshit talking points that he likes to bring up, and I'll land there.
Big facts. Big facts. Did you want to say anything, Keisha, or should we continue?
Yeah, because like even when he talks about Fred Douglass was staunch against Pan-Africanism.
Yes.
Heavy. He spoke against it heavy. He spoke against immigration. Heavy. He almost got his head busted. Well, he did get his head busted for speaking out against immigration.
That's a fact.
You do if that's your ancestor, although the family said that they don't have no relation to you, you're doing him a disservice, because he was dead set against it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. And I saw my brother Chase. Shout out to my brother Chase, the Voice of the Ancestors channel here on YouTube. He did a reaction to this Umar video as well, and he showed the receipts of what Frederick Douglass was actually saying about us not being African and about this being our homeland and all that. So if you haven't had a chance to check out his video, make sure y'all go check out my brother Chase's reaction to the Umar joint as well.
And can I add that President Divine also went in depth on his TikTok regarding this as well. And I'll hopefully, he'll bring the video with him when he is here on Monday.
Okay, bet. That's a bet.
We did it too. And also all of the great leaders in journalism, in advocacy during the late 1880s who spoke out against Pan-Africanism. Heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. All right. As we proceed.
Mm-hmm.
Have a problem with the American African people seeing the need to make it clear to other branches of the global African family that when you come here, you need to be clear that we built the house and rolled out the carpet for you. Be respectful in my home the same way you would want for me to be respectful in your home. So the concept of that American African identity, I have no issue with it. It needs to be done. It needs to be said. This is not new. What is new?
All right, he's going. All right, hold on. Let me let him finish that last sentence right there.
About it is the adversarial stance that they are taking towards African immigrants who come here from the diaspora, and the energy that they give them, the negative energy that they give them, which supersedes the negative energy you give to the white man who enslaved you then and oppresses you now. There's nothing a continental African immigrant can do to me.
I probably can go from.
All right, that came on just in time. That's all good. Because I was ready to pause it anyway. And I just want to say before y'all jump in real quick that he says that he doesn't have a problem with the delineation, and he understands why it's necessary to let people know that, we built this country, and while you're in our home, you need to show respect. But what's the purpose of us delineating in the first place? Why is it important? The respect is only one aspect of it. Making people show respect in our house, that's one aspect of it. But we got way more important work to do. Everything that my sister Breuck was breaking down in the beginning of this broadcast about why y'all need to send out those emails, those are all of the important reasons for delineation. You know what I'm saying? Because we can't go about getting the resources that are owed to us unconstitutionally. We have to do it in a legal manner. So there's a legal reason. There's a political reasons why the delineation is absolutely necessary, for the same reasons that other groups do it. Like she pointed out earlier with the Asians and with the Middle Easterns and all these other groups that they've already done these things for legislatively. But y'all go ahead and jump in right there. Let this ad pass.
You want to go
Either
first,
one of
or you
y'all.
want me to go?
It don't matter.
First of all, identifying everybody as African is all the way wrong. That's all the way wrong. We are our own unique identity. That's wrong. Just the way Jamaicans have their own unique identity. But he doesn't have a problem with that at all. Two, he's talking about, things that we've been talking about, taking our talking points and trying to fit it into his concept of what he thinks it should be. Thirdly, we have never legally, here or abroad, as citizens, even the expats, have ever gone into anybody else's government and usurped any achievements that they've ever done. But you can't say the same thing here. They are in our government. They are forming caucuses. They are attaining tangibles specifically for their group, federally and locally. And that's problematic. They are also advocating within their own caucuses against lineage-based reparations. He doesn't talk about that. You can't find me one Black American who has left these shores and now resides somewhere else permanently, whether the Caribbean, South America, or Africa, have interjected themselves into any foreign government to advocate legislation or tangibles away from the natives of that country or that land. It doesn't exist. But we can't say the same thing here. It's all around. And I don't care what kind of immigrant it is, legal or illegal. You have what we call, or what they call, the Office of the New American. Now, I want everybody to look that up. Office for the New American, or of the New American. These offices began in the 1990s to help immigrants fast track through the system, no matter if they have qualifications or not. What you're seeing now began in the 90s. So, for example, if you're an immigrant and you want a CDL so you could drive trucks, forget what qualifications you have. They have offices to help you fast track through that system so that you can attain that CDL license. Whereas the three of us, we got to go through the rigor of qualification. Mm-hmm. It doesn't apply to them. When they want money for school, you have the DACA program to help their children attain college educations free of charge on our dime, but our children can't participate in that. And so that's just small things that I'm talking about. Even as, look at someone like an Ilhan Omar, fast track through the Democratic Party to Congress to represent a portion of the state of Minnesota to attain tangibles for her ethnic group, the Somalians, whether it's legal or illegal. Let me and Breuck try that and see what happens.
Right. And so again, he says he doesn't have a problem with it, when before he didn't even want to acknowledge it. He didn't even know what we were talking about first, but now it's to the point where you're forced to acknowledge it. You have to try to reckon with it some way. So yeah, I understand, you do have a unique history here, and it's important to say that, but you're against everything that serves as the purpose for us doing so in the first place. So, one of the main reasons for delineation is reparations. But when you're asked about reparations, you say reparations for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So why do you see it be important to delineate then? Why even delineate if reparations for everybody? What's the point? You know what I'm saying? Again, it's a con job, but go ahead, Breuck.
He is, like I said, he is just full of it. Like, he just sits there and he says things. I don't want to get ahead of your video. That's why I'm like trying to figure out what
it's okay,
because my mind is like,
it's okay swirling. Because we ain't gonna I already know we ain't gonna get that far into the video. And so whatever you could think of from the video, just go ahead and build on it. It don't matter.
Okay. Because he's not a lawyer. When he sits there and he breaks down how we should all do it together, that's not possible. It's not legally sound. And so you need to say, this is my question that I have been saying ever since he came out with this video. Why are you not doing what you say you are qualified to do? You are a child psychologist. Right now, our children are going through all types of wars. They are trying to put men in women's sports. They are trying to, in California right now, and this is for all children, not just Black children. In California right now, they are socializing the children to want to change genders. Why aren't you doing anything about that? This is where you shine. This is why you were given the platform that you were given, because of the work you were doing in schools. Now, what happened? Your school ain't here. That's something else. You want to sit there and let this man talk for an hour and 45 minutes and don't bring up the school? And don't bring up the fact that you know what I'm saying, they was about to repossess or auction off or whatever the school.
There must have been an agreement prior to not to talk about that.
So this is what I'm trying to say. Why are you not doing what you're qualified to do? And it is my opinion that you're not doing what you're qualified to do because you want to be a celebrity. He sat there and he talked about in that video that he's not a celebrity, but you want to be a celebrity. That's why you paid that woman down south to make that movie about you that sucked. Okay, and it made you look bad, and you didn't even pay her the money. You sit here and talk about how you love Black women. You took Black women's money all this time, but you didn't pay that Black woman for that shitty ass movie that you did. Okay, so this is my issue. You're sitting here talking on things that you don't know anything about. You are not a lawyer. It is not possible, even if we wanted to add Caribbeans. Even if we wanted to add Africans to our reparations claim, we cannot. It is unconstitutional. But you don't want to talk about that. But your ancestor, who you claim is your ancestor, Frederick Douglass, knew very well the Constitution and the importance of us being freedmen on this land, unlike you, sir. You want to sit there and talk about the Civil War? Well, then not near a freaking Caribbean or African fought in the Civil War.
Right.
So you want to sit here and talk about these things that you know nothing about. So when he sat there, he went on this long diatribe about how, the British enslaved us here first.
Yeah.
Yes, but America made the money.
And let me just jump on that real quick too, though. Because he's talking about the British during colonial America before, it became the United States of America. But basically, those British people had an ethnogenesis. Those are the Americans that we're dealing with now. It's the same people.
Yes and no. Because some of them are, some of them left. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I'm saying the ones that are here.
But right. But the bottom line is Abraham Lincoln said that the capitalism that this country was founded on could not have been possible without the free labor that they received from our ancestors. So this country was founded on our free labor, the capitalism that the African, the capitalism that the Caribbean, the capitalism that the Irish, the capitalism that the Italians, the capitalism that the Germans, the capitalism that the Polish, the capitalism that every immigrant group came here to capitalize off of was our free labor. Therefore, we are going to collect first from America.
Yes, indeed.
And there's no way possible that we can include the co-conspirators of our human trafficking with our claim as victims. How can you be a victim when you are a co-conspirator? And I'm speaking of the Africans right now.
Yep.
The Africans sold us. Then he mentioned, sorry, because I was paying attention. I write notes like a nerd, okay?
I love it.
Then he sat there and he talked about the spiritual ramifications of us separating ourselves from Africans. Well, did the Africans give a fuck about the spiritual ramifications of them doing voodoo on us before they sold us to the white supremacists? No, they did not. They were the initial delineators. They delineated spiritually, physically, with their money, with everything. They delineated from us. And in fact, they delineated us for in this life and the next life with their voodoo ceremonies and rituals. So how the hell are we gonna I'm not gonna stand with somebody who legally does, because there was a report that just came out that Ghana is trying to ask for $100 million in reparations from the U.S. government. How the hell can you ask for reparations when you already got paid? You got paid in cowrie shells. You got paid in liquor. You got paid in bananas. In China pattern plates. You got paid in umbrellas. You got paid in gunpowder to fight your own Africans that you delineated from on the continent. So you cannot join with us in our reparations claim, period. He has no smoke for the fact that the Caribbeans are getting their reparations. They got their own CARICOM. They not including us on their CARICOM. He don't have no smoke for that. He don't have no smoke for that Jamaican woman who came in our reparations hearing working for the Harriet Tubman Foundation, okay, in Binghamton, and sat there and did everything she could to nullify and make all her recommendations were to make our reparations unconstitutional and for everybody. You don't have no smoke for that woman. So if you don't get your child psychologist not wanting to do child psychology ass out my face when we sit here and talk about things that we got bills, and then you sit there and talk about nobody's doing nothing. We got bills on the books. I'm not sitting here asking you to sign a petition. I'm not sitting here asking you to just write your name on the end so we can beg and implore. No. We are demanding that these legislators do for us, which that we pay them to do with our tax dollars, as they give out tax dollars to all these goddamn illegals. And I'll stop there because I'll keep going.
Listen, man, I told y'all this was going to be a hot one tonight. Man. Make sure that y'all hitting that like button. Share this out. Tell the family to pull up. We ain't done yet. Sister K Fighter, you want to say anything before I continue with the video?
I just want people to realize that, he is, as Brooke said, a professional con man. And he's using our talking points, trying to use them
it's against the remix.
Them, but it'll never work. It'll never work. And if I was the interviewer, the first person you need to unite with is your family and your children.
Ooh,
Jesus.
Hit him.
Is that what we do?
Our family members, both sides of the family, aunts, uncles, cousins, siblings, and my child. They will never speak ill of me. You sound crazy. What's going on with your mama? What is your daughter out here saying?
Doing?
Why don't you work on Pan family? How about that?
Ooh, Lord, is this what we doing?
Pan children.
This like T.I. and 50 Cent now. Shit, y'all getting...
Because let's be real.
No, it's real talk.
You talk about black women, but you out here making baby mamas. Multiples. You ain't married one yet. You talking about you want to have multiple wives. Well, you ain't married one yet. Much less 2, 3, or 4.
Dr. Umar, the congregation got some questions, brother. We got some questions, brother. We need answers. Hopefully the ad doesn't pop up. Let's continue with the video. We still got time.
That's done to me. There's nothing a
Instead
Caribbean,
of trying to
Central South American African immigrant can do to me that can exceed what the white man has done to me. So why is it I can have so much vitriol, hatred, disrespect, animosity towards someone who looks like me just because they came from another place.
Just because they came
'Cause you
from
sold
another
us.
place. Everybody knows we are responding, first and foremost, to the tether class. Everybody knows that. So that's too easy. Let me see what else you got
When
to
the
say.
white man who's responsible for my hell here, I'm never giving him half that energy. And then on top of that, it's contradictory in this way. You still identify with the white man. You are a black American? Since when? So you'll call yourself an American, but you'll never call yourself an African. Think about that now. After all I've been through in this country, I'm still going to wave their flag. After all I've been through in this country, I'm still going to use their colors. After everything I've been through in this country, I'm still going to identify with the plantation and call myself an American. So I don't have an issue with the concept. I take issue with the strategies and
What about
All right. Let's stop it right there. Let's stop it right there. He be saying so much, man. I mean, it's I'm like, where do I start? Where do I start?
Start with the flag.
I was thinking
Start
the
with the-
same thing.
All right, yeah. So yeah, shout out to Great
Come
Swisher.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Everything that America says that she is on paper is what we represent as a people.
That's right.
Nobody is more American than us. Nobody is more American than us. First of all, there is no United States of America without us. We are the only group that live up to the principles of freedom, justice, and equality, and all of those things. And you got a problem with us waving this flag, but damn near all of the American flags got this. I mean, the African flags got the same blood on it. All of those African flags that they waving around came after colonialism was imposed on them. Their whole identity was imposed on them. But you don't got no problem with that.
None.
Those flags ain't ancient. You know what I'm saying? The Caribbean flags too, same thing. It's no different, but it's always a problem with our ethnogenesis for some reason. For us acknowledging who we are and the uniqueness of the things that we've accomplished and had to overcome and endure here on this land, and we still here. Ain't went nowhere, still fighting to this day. But that's a problem. But everybody else, they get a pass. They get a pass. It's no smoke for that.
Let me just add. I'm trying to remember. I need to find his name because I don't remember. I'm bad with names. But not only did Gray Swisher, create the flag and sew the first flag, but there was a special stitching that we created, that a foundational Black American man created, because they would stitch the stars on a straight stitch, and it would make the stars flare, come up off the fabric. We created the stitching that kept the stars on the flag.
Man, I didn't even know that.
So down to the type of stitching that was used to keep the flag intact, we created. So when he sits there and he spews all of this nonsense, it's crazy. Look, why doesn't he talk about the Caribbean flags? I live in New York.
Right.
I see Caribbean flags all the time. All the time. He has nothing to say about the Jamaican flag, which was created after the Irish.
The Scottish, I think,
Scottish,
is like a replica of the Scottish flag.
The Scottish flag. He has nothing to say, no smoke for that. So when he sits there and talks about we don't have any smoke for white people, that's bull. That's bull. Because as Sister Keisha told you, what do you think the United African Movement, which was founded by foundational Black Americans and foundational Black Americans in leadership and foundational Black Americans in soldiership? Okay, they were the ones that was doing the fighting and everything and the legal work. So what do you think they was doing when they was fighting for the Central Park Five? What do you think they was doing when they was fighting for, all of the names? I can't even think of all of the names right now that she named. They were fighting the white man. But now what has happened is that white supremacy has figured out that they can use these people with our melanated hues against us. And that is why it appears that we are fighting them more. Because as President Devine says all the time, when we got into this work, we knew we were going to have to fight the white supremacists. But unfortunately, they keep sending their Afro minions to fight for them. And once we get them out the way, then we could go head on at the white supremacists. But they got all these buffers here.
All right.
So that
and it's no
we already
different.
know that their numbers are dwindling. They don't have the manpower to fight us like they used to. They can't. So they have to increase their numbers. And he says nothing, as Sister Keisha said earlier, he says nothing when they are in these political positions, when they are elevated to these political positions to make sure that we get nothing and we stay at the bottom. He mentioned that that there's some sort of psychological syndrome where, people don't want to be seen as the bottom. That is the African, because when they first got here, we invited them into our churches. We gathered money to bring them over here. We fought for the immigration laws to include them. We fought all of these things. So we were the ones who welcomed them in. And when they got here, they said, you know what? I don't want to be labeled with them at the bottom over there.
Stay away from the
They are the ones who have that mindset, not us. So we have realized that they are not our allies, and we're doing what we have to do to save ourselves, to make sure that we are not erased from history or from our own land.
And he understands it's the same thing that the Haitians had to do in the beginning of the revolution. They had to get the coons up out the paint first. Mm-hmm. They understood that.
Nobody seems to remember that part of the Haitian Revolution, including the Haitians. Maybe because after they finished the Haitian Revolution, the coons then took over and killed Dessalines and drug his body through the streets. So we see how they treat their revolutionaries.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And his wife.
Right, but go ahead, Keisha, because I know you're ready to cook.
We not fighting the white man. Let me. Most recently, there was a woman in New York who worked at a hotel in Manhattan. While she was doing her work, one of the most powerful white men in the world essayed her. His name is Dominique Strauss-Kahn. He was the former head of the IMF. All right. After he did what he did, and you should. Another time I'll come on the show and talk about the crime scene. But it was so vicious. I mean, he was skeeting all over the place, on the ceiling, everywhere. He essayed this woman terribly. She's from Guinea. You know who stopped that man from getting on a plane and going back to France? Foundational Black Americans. We were the ones who got petition signatures. We were the ones who turned over those petitions to the district attorney down Cy Vance to hold this man and try this man. Don't let him leave the country. Now ask me, how many Africans helped get signatures to stop this man? 0. It was United African Movement, 100 blacks in law enforcement who cared, the Nation of Islam, and some people from Simultac. No Africans nowhere. So don't tell me we not fighting the white man. We've been on it. Now we on their buffer class.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And he expands that to say, there's only 3 million African immigrants here. They don't really have the numbers like that. So why y'all got all the smoke for them? Y'all not saying nothing about the Latinos and they taking y'all resources. The gay community, they taking your resources. and who all these other communities that he claims that we not fighting. But I recall part of the inception of the delineation movement, it really didn't even start with the Afro immigrants. It really started with the Latinos at first. It really was about breaking up the black and brown coalition falsehood. That's really was the origin of it from my recollection. That's how I remember when it was hold your own nuts. Before there was an FBA, before there was an ADOS hashtag, any of that, it was hold your own nuts. And we was talking specifically to the Latinos because we began to understood, many of us, that a lot of them identify as white. Ain't really no such thing as brown. They not no allies of ours. So that's my recollection of the inception of this whole delineation movement in the first place. And then Africans and Caribbeans started to center themselves in the conversation. And then we started to take a look at them too. Like, hold up. Matter of fact, ain't you the one up in the Congressional Black Caucus blocking shit? Ain't that you? Matter of fact, hold on. Let me go back to this history book right here. Wasn't it y'all that had us shackled on the beaches over there in West Africa and all of that? You know what I'm saying? We started to look at it in a different way. Information that we already had, things that we already knew, that we just didn't have a certain lens. We didn't have a certain perspective on until they began to center themselves. And then we had to take a closer look at them. You know what I'm saying? That's my recollection of how this thing came about. Also, the whole hip hop 50-50 conversation. You know, we had to give them that work for that. Fat Joe came out the woodwork with all that. Well, I thought we ain't have no smoke for the Latinos. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed. He made a whole movie debunking their nonsense. Even if you want to talk about the gay community, buck breaking. What was that about? Exposing the racism within the LGBT community and all that. We got smoke for everybody. Nobody gets a pass. Nobody gets a pass. And we don't care how much you look like us. That includes y'all too. Even if y'all listen to my record, shameless plug, Revenge of the Akata, available on all streaming platforms. If you go listen to the record, I named everybody. It wasn't just Africans. It wasn't just Caribbeans. We talked about everybody, literally everybody, in that one verse, because the song is just one verse. You know what I'm saying? But we got the Arabs up out the paint. We got what's them Europeans over there that came over here as refugees not too long ago? They over there fighting with Russia. Yeah, the Ukrainians. We had to give them that work. We talked about the East Indians up in these gas stations and all that with the bulletproof glass and all that. Yeah, we talked about all that. What you said, Brooke? You muted.
I said we talk about the Palestinians and how racist they are. That's why we don't stand with them.
Right. Nobody gets a pass.
But he don't want to talk about the Hispanics because he's a Hispanic. The other side of his bloodline comes from Cuba. So he don't want to talk about that. He only want to talk about.
And I've been to Cuba. I've actually been to Cuba. I had a good experience with the black folks over there when I went to Cuba. I don't know about the ones that be coming over here, but when I went over there, they went out their way as soon as they seen me to let me know that I was their brother. You know what I'm saying? As much English as they could possibly muster up to speak, that's what they was trying to tell me as soon as they seen me. Hey, you know we the same, right? Similar. Look, we the same. You know, so shout out to the good people of Cuba, but the ones y'all be sending over here, though, I don't know.
But they face persecution in Cuba, being black.
Right.
Or looking black.
Yeah. There's no immigrant allowed to come to these shores and attain a green card or naturalized citizenship if they are agitators. That's why none of them fight. They can't.
Right.
They're going back home. That's why they let you over here. And even the ones who they try to slip through, don't let me get started on Garvey. Because then, I'm going to hurt a lot of people's feelings.
And I think their feelings need to be hurt.
Because didn't he apply for naturalization here?
Yeah.
Not Africa.
Yeah. Here.
He never set foot on Africa.
Here. You understand?
And you are definitely in a position to speak on that too. Because I know you were involved with a film about Garvey, right?
Yes, it's on Amazon Prime. That's right.
Messiah, what's
That's
it called?
Messiah. It's about some instances surrounding his trial. It's on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And I'm listed as one of the
Okay.
associate producers on that film. But yeah, he did a lot of unscrupulous things, but he don't want to talk about that, including, he married the first Amy. Once he got settled here, dumped her, married her best friend and maid of honor, the second Amy. Come on. What you talking about? What we talking about here? Meeting with the Klan and discussing things with them, knock it off. Knock it off.
And our Foundation of Black American Leaders was against him at the time. I just released a picture from the newspaper. A. Philip Randolph, W.E.B. Du Bois. Everybody said that he is a traitor to Black Americans. So it's not surprising that he would align himself with someone like Garvey, because he is also a traitor to Black Americans. Birds of a feather flock together.
Man.
And you see, Garvey, when he first came here, he came here to get funding for his Universal Negro Association for the people of Jamaica. Not here. He came to meet with Booker T because he admired Booker T. Washington. Booker T was anti-Pan-African. He admired Booker T. Modeled the UNIA after Booker T. All right? When he first got here, he was in awe of the American Negro. That came from his mouth. He said when he got here, he saw businesses. He saw leaders of industry. He saw doctors. He saw it all. Whether he was in New York, Chicago, Boston, he named all these cities he visited when he got here. He was in awe of us. And he said to the Caribbean, he said, where was your Booker T? Where was your Fred Douglass? You have yet to produce him. And we in 2026, and you still haven't produced him.
Right, I'm about to say, I got this.
So used to leaning on our lineage and our legacy, they don't know how to stand on their own. So delineation is a problem, because delineation forces you to stand on your own, hold your own, and they can't do it. They can't do it.
It's a new day, family. It's a new day. Anybody still out here pushing these old ideas, they outdated at this point. They are outdated at this point. And it's not about numbers, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people are like to point out, even when it comes to politically, a lot of Black Americans still voted Democrat in the last election, like in the 90 percentile or something crazy like that. A lot of people like to point out those numbers as if they try to make it seem like what we're doing is insignificant or it's not having it. Listen, we're not the minority. We the elite, family. We are the elite class. And we're the ones that's moving the needle. We're the wild card. You know what I'm saying? There's always a 5%, a 85%, and a 10% in every faction of life that you go through. You're always going to have that. So don't let the numbers discourage you, family. We out here. The power is coming from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let me see what we looking like on time real quick. How y'all doing? How y'all doing on time? Y'all good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. As we proceed to give you what you need.
If someone is, all right, we look at anyone that is
Nano Banana Pro.
Poor thing, he tried. I give this brother credit though. He tried his best to do what he could do with his limited information. He admitted that his information is limited. You know what I'm saying? But he did his best. Poor thing.
And his mother sounded like a Pan-African as well. So
say that again.
He was talking about how his mother. He said he was talking about how his mother. I said his mother sounded like a Pan-African as well, because he was talking about how his mother loves Umar.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, she don't even necessarily have to be a Pan-African, because a lot of if it's that church thing. You know what I'm saying? It's that church thing. You know what I'm saying? He know how to evoke emotions. He's a good speaker. He's a good orator. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, our mothers and our aunties and all that, they love that. You know what I'm saying? All right. As we proceed to give you what you need.
And getting access to resources that belong to us, because they built their core wealth off coerced labor from our people. But you can come in as an African, as a quote unquote immigrant, and get certain access to things that maybe the foundational Black Americans, what they call themselves, believe that, that's our stuff. And so I don't look at the African any different than I look at any other, ethnic group that comes over and tries to take that place.
If that's the case,
he's right.
Where is your campaign against the Latinos? Because I don't see it.
We already answered that. Let me skip ahead a little bit.
Hold on. I want to say one thing when it comes to that. My introduction into acting, and I don't really go into, this that much. But on this part, I'm going to have to pop my collar a little bit.
I want you to, because I already know where you're going.
My introduction into public activism was regarding a nail shop here in Brooklyn. Where the Chinese nail techs beat up 2 Black women, one of them being a grandmother. So the first smoke I had was for the Chinese. So when you sit here and you say this nonsense, that's exactly what it is. And as I continued and I learned more about, about my history and about what's happening here, and I became more and more politically aware. That is how I ended up, aligning with the U.S. Freedmen Project, meeting Sister Keisha, you know what I'm saying? All of these things. So when you say dumb shit, like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Where is the smoke? Honey, that was the first smoke I had. Y'all look that up. That was in 2018. So you can stop with all that nonsense.
And by the way, Breuck, when y'all was boycotting that nail salon, who were the people going past the picket line?
Well, I will be fair.
Okay.
I like to be fair when it comes to that,
let's
because
be honest.
It was in East Flatbush. So that is a heavily Caribbean neighborhood. So on both sides of the line, there were Caribbeans. There were Caribbeans holding the line with me, and there were Caribbeans crossing over the line, because that is the neighborhood in which this took place. So, I will be 100% fair on that.
That makes sense, because again, everybody's not a damn tether.
When this happened, no one was going to do anything about it. It took me as a foundational Black American to get upset and to rally all who could hear my voice to do something about this. And I will also go on further to say that I was lied to. I was told I was told by a lot of the politicians who are Caribbean that all I needed to do was get 3,000. This is why I don't believe in petitions. If you want to know why Breuck don't give a fuck about a petition, this is why right here. I was told all I needed was 3,000 signatures, and that this business could not open up, and I had to submit them to the community board. And shout out to the community board of that area, because that's not their fault. They were lied to as well, right? But it was the assembly person, who was Diana Richardson. I love telling everybody, who is now married to Senator Myrie. Now, because she lost her seat. So now she got a new seat. Child, I was about to say something crazy. So yes. So now I was told that all I needed was 3,000 signatures, and that the business could not reopen. What they did was I got 9,000 signatures. I got 3 times the amount that they requested. Okay. They said 3,000. I gave them 9 from online, in person, everything. 9,000 signatures. They waited because that was an election year. They waited until the election was over and early December and opened back up. And we had to go right back out there. And that's so. And I will share. People ask how, because truth be told, I'm gonna pop my collar a little bit more. My campaign is the only successful campaign to shut down a nail shop who brutalized our women.
Salute.
The only one. That's a little bit of Black history for you.
Salute.
Okay.
Last day of Black History Month, by the way.
Right. And the daggone sure is the only one in New York. Right. So let me explain to you how it was successful, even though I gave the signatures and they still allowed it to open up. I was able to, you have to convince the patrons not to spend money there. That was it. That's the secret. I didn't rely on the politicians. I didn't rely on what they told me, even though they lied to me and it did piss me the hell off. I didn't rely on that because my logic knew that they can't keep a business open if they're not making any money. They can't pay Con Ed, which is our electricity here. They can't pay Con Ed if they're not making no money. They can't pay their rent if they're not making no money. They can't pay all of their expenditures if it's not fiscally responsible to keep a business open that's not making any money. And that is how I was able to shut them down, by convincing people not to spend their money there. And that is how you take control in your community, even beyond your political, you know what I'm saying, sellouts.
Respect. Much respect to that. So
when he sits there and says, oh, we don't have no smoke. Oh, honey, I had all the smoke. I had all the smoke. I had the smoke. I had the signatures. And then I took their funding. I took their money.
Yes, indeed. Yo, I just want to mention, y'all, all of this nonsense that we've had to smack down on this here broadcast already, and we're only 5 minutes into his talking points. 5 minutes. He said a bunch of bullshit in 5 minutes. But I skipped ahead a little bit. Okay. You know what I mean? Let me get this back up here. Hopefully no ad don't pop up.
Different groups and sects of the race fighting for their crumb off the big pie. This should be one fight, one reparation. Do you feel me, Loon? We can split it up how we want to split it up after we get it. But by you fighting divided for the same restitution, you playing right into the hands of your enemy. There was one slavery, took some of us to the Caribbean. There was one slavery, took some of us to the Americas. There was one slavery, took some of us to Central and South America, right? But there was one African slavery. So the Africans of the world, from the continent to the British, Canada had slavery, Australia had it, right? We should all come and sit down. Let's fight this together.
See, I think they reject.
Yeah, we reject that.
Yeah, we are right. That. He ain't no lawyer.
Yeah, we did. And then you also say, Breuck, that ain't that what the African Union is trying to do right now?
Yes.
Give us the money and we'll divide it up. Just give us the money.
And Ghana specifically. Ghana specifically is trying to get $100 million because they're not getting no U.S. aid.
They talk about they need to renovate the slave dungeon.
The slave dungeon. Imagine these people want to renovate the human trafficking warehouse that they had. That's what it is.
Clean up the crime scene. That's what they're doing, trying to clean up the crime scene.
Crazy as hell.
Well, they charge us more money to go to it than they charge themselves. Imagine. These people are diabolical. Let me tell you something. I don't know what if that ain't evil. I don't explain to me what is.
Yeah, and you said something right there too, K Fighter. Because I saw, I forgot the name of that podcast that Godfrey and the other dude got now.
They are so annoying.
They getting on my nerves. Yeah, they getting on my nerves. They getting on my nerves with the bullshit. But they were talking about on one clip that I saw, he was saying how before he used to go back and forth to Ghana all the time, or whatever country he's from. I don't know if it's Nigeria or Ghana or whatever. I think it was Ghana. Yeah, it was Ghana. And it was affordable. But ever since they started doing the right to abode and all of this tourism shit that they promoting now, come back to Africa and all of that shit, he said he can't even afford to go no more. It's $4,000 for a damn flight to go to Ghana now. $4,000.
Good.
You know what I'm
We don't need to be
saying?
going over there anyway. Because they unaliving black women every day. It's women right now. Somebody trying to start a protest at the UN talking about the 2 women that were unalived over there after they stole their land. They don't want no unity with us. They didn't want no unity when they sold us. And they don't want no unity now. So I'm good. You shouldn't have been over there. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you over in Africa and you a foundational Black American and you can hear the sound of my voice, bring your ass home. Stop being over there with that foolishness. Fuck them people. Because that's what they think about you.
Unless they can get something up out you.
That's right. You are a come up. Any way they can. And these people are doing witchcraft that you don't know nothing about. So you going over there, you don't even, not only are you putting your mind and your body, but you putting your soul in danger. You in danger, girl. Bring your ass home.
You would get it quicker.
Yeah.
You would get more because guess what? It's a unique.
Quicker, my ass.
I always say
get it quicker. I'll talk while these commercials on. How we gonna get it quicker when they the ones that's at the hearings trying to make our reparations unconstitutionally sound? They don't even understand the law. They don't understand the fact that you can't ask for reparations for a bad business deal, because that's what it was for them in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Senegal, in Burkina Faso, in Benin. That's what it was. It was a bad business deal. You thought that cowrie shells was more important than gold. So now you mad about what you sold. You sound like the Mexicans. Oh, California was ours. You sold it.
Yeah.
You can't be mad now because you didn't like what you sold it for. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
You ready?
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. All right.
Separating rules.
That's why I wanted to have a conversation about the FBA and the Pan-Africanism, because that's what's going on. Although I hear when you speak, although you're Pan-Africanist, I hear some of the stuff I hear from foundational Black Americans.
Well, remember, there's nothing wrong with advocating the rights of your unique group. A Pan-Africanist in South Africa can speak up for South Africans and still recognize the greater vision and greater goal of a united race. You see that? So as Pan-Africanists, we don't just focus on the whole. That's the goal. But we also got to take care of our people where we are. So I don't have an issue with the American African people having a Black agenda for themselves that they need to carry out. It's only when you start criminalizing and antagonizing other Africans as if they're responsible for the condition you in. Loon, there's only 3 million African immigrants in this country. They are not the group most responsible for siphoning off from your set-asides. Right. You know who that would be? White women, homosexuals, and Latinos, who they rarely ever talk about.
And you know,
let me also say this, Loon. Let us be honest. What do we know about the psychology of oppression? The victim often imitates the victimizer. The oppressed often imitates the oppressor. What do I mean by that, Loon? I don't want to be the most oppressed person. I got to find somebody and put them beneath me.
I think we touched on a lot of this. Is there anything y'all want to say?
Yeah. One.
Okay.
Who the fuck are we victimizing?
Right.
What have we done to them? Nothing. You want to talk about jokes? Jokes online? What laws have we put in place to hold them back? What bills do we have on the board to hold them back? What have we done to victimize them there? We have done nothing. We have welcomed you here with open arms, and you gave us your ass to kiss. You took your dirty shoes on our white couch, and you said, F them FBAs.
Fuck your couch.
Fuck your couch. So now we are letting you know you can't come in our house and treat us like that. So when you sit there and he sits there and he talks about how we have victimized them, but you have gotten with the colonizer, your past co-conspirators. Let's remember you. And I will say that with Caribbeans, I won't call that your co-conspirators, but I will say those are the people who you love. You have chosen to get with them to make sure that we don't get our birthright. Where in the world are we doing the same? Nowhere. We are not going to CARICOM. In fact, when I confronted a boy, actually, I told her ass off in my testimony. The Jamaican lady that came to the hearing and tried to make our reparations, and her recommendations for our reparations was unconstitutional. I told her ass off on the record in under 3 minutes. I told her off so bad, she came to cop pleas and apologize. I wasn't trying to say that, I wasn't trying to tell you how you should get your reparations, but you did. Oh, I wasn't trying to insert myself in your reparations claim, but you did. She let me know that she is with an organization in Jamaica, separate and apart from CARICOM, but works in conjunction with CARICOM for Jamaicans to get their reparations. So here she is. You see how insidious this is? Here she is, sitting with her own people, trying to make sure that they get reparations while she come over here and work for the Harriet Tubman Foundation and tank hours. But you're trying to sit there and tell me that we are doing something against them. Then she hello, hi. Then she, look, now I'm distracted. Hi, it's too much cuteness going on. Hello. Then she tried to, Lord, child,
my bad.
I got distracted.
We love it. We love it.
You know what I'm saying? The cuteness. I can't take it. But yes, then she tried to tell us, you know what I'm saying, how she wanted us to work with her on her reparations. I bet you do. Because of the scholarship and vigor and passion that we bring, that you're not seeing over there.
Right.
Because there are more Jamaicans outside of the island of Jamaica than are on the island.
Right. More Jamaicans in Brooklyn. More Jamaicans in Brooklyn than Kingston.
And don't bring Florida.
You know what I mean?
Into the fold as well. And then, like I said, and people also forget about Central and South America, because the Jamaicans went over to build the Panama Canal.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the Costa Ricans, Nicaraguans, all of those people, they have Jamaican heritage. Panamanians, they got Jamaican heritage. Mm-hmm. So that also lends itself to why that there are more Jamaicans outside of the island than are on the island. So you know what I'm saying? So when he sits there and says these things about how we are victimizing them, you're just using words that in this case have no meaning. You have no proof, you have no receipts, but I can show you receipts. All you have to go to bit.ly/BREUCK call to action and take a look at the unconstitutional reparations bill. And you will see a long list of people that are against that are against our birthright. And how do we know they are against it? Because they have signed their name to a bill that they know is unconstitutional. And how do we know that they know that it's unconstitutional? Because President Devine and the U.S. Freedmen Project had multiple meetings with these people to let them know. And so did Ed Blum. Ed Blum told them that publicly. So they know. But they don't care. They're just wasting time and spinning hills. And I'll end there.
That's a fact.
Even, they had a space last year in Brooklyn, an event. And he talk about, I can't hate them more than they hate. No, that's not the event we pulled up to in Brooklyn. It was all hate against FBA.
That's right.
It was a whole Pan-African event. And they had, the image on the flyer, Black people underneath the table fighting for crumbs, but FBA in the middle of it. But when we got there, it was a total hit piece because we wasn't going to go. Because I said, these people ain't doing nothing but clout chasing. But something in the back of my head said, nah, pull up. So we get there, and right off the rip, they showing a video where they're saying that, this African dude saying that we're a bunch of CIA ops and all kind of stuff.
And that's before James Smalls.
Yeah. And then they had a dialogue. I think it was 4 or 5 people on the panel.
Mm-hmm.
All bi-ethnic or Pan-African or straight immigrant lineage. No FBAs was on the panel.
None.
So it was a conversation about us. As Brooke say, without us. But they didn't expect us to pull up. So when we got there, they were saying all kind of disparaging things against FBA instead of trying to understand where we coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So when it got to the point where they, went out to the audience for question and answers, we tore it up. We took over the whole event. Now we're not playing with y'all. It's up now for everybody in here. Everybody in here. Y'all all could catch it. And they may not have liked our approach, but as I said to the host, you might not like it, but you can't say we a liar.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say that. I can't say the same with you. And some of the people on the panel I knew from the Pan-African days. And I had to check him. Like, are you crazy? You out your mind. They were so disrespectful. So again, it's them. Like you said, Brother Sincere, we just coming out in defense because y'all was out here acting reckless, going back to Clubhouse days. Y'all was reckless for years, talking crazy about us. But now you don't like it? Now you saying we being divisive? Nah, they've always been divisive.
And look, I had to show people in real life because, like I'll be telling y'all, out here where I live at, it's a heavy African presence out here. A lot of Caribbeans too, but it's a heavy African presence out here. And in the barbershop, a lot of them come through there. And I always bait out the tethers. I want to know who's a tether and who's not a tether. And so a lot of the FBA brothers in the shop, they didn't really understand at first. You know what I'm saying? Years ago, everybody knows what's up now. It's been years at this point, but years ago when I first started talking like this, a lot of people didn't understand what I was talking about. And so I would just throw certain things out there and ask certain questions out there and get these people to admit, you know what I'm saying, to confess that the mindset that they have. I remember it was one African sister. She had 2 sons. I was cutting her boy's hair, and I was talking to one of her sons. He was starting to get a little bit older, talking about dating and stuff like that. And I just threw it out there. I said, "Yeah, you probably have a fit. He come home with a Black American girl, huh?" And she was like, "Akata." She was like, She screwed her whole face. Like, no, he better not come home with no Akata. I said, "Yeah, but he come home with a white girl though. You don't mind, right?" "Well, if that's who he likes. If that's who he likes." You know what I'm saying? And I should do that just to point out to my brothers in the shop. Y'all see? This is what the fuck I be talking about right here. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, the jig is up.
It's up.
The jig is up.
That's what King Fighter be saying all the time. It's up and it's stuck.
And look, I just dropped the link in the chat. We for the last 10 minutes, we done with the video now. For the last 10 minutes, if anybody wants to come on and ask a question or make a comment, you're gonna have to be quick. You can't be long-winded. You can't be long-winded. But the link is in the chat. If anybody wants to hop on real quick and add their 2 cents for the last part of this. But Breuck, Keisha, I appreciate y'all. I already knew that this was gonna be fire. Glad that y'all came through it. Y'all come back anytime. If y'all want to come back and you know what I'm saying? Tomorrow? Nah, not tomorrow, but anytime. Anytime, y'all just let me know. You know what I'm saying? Y'all part of the family here. If y'all want me to come on y'all platform, let's do it. You know what I mean? Let's collab some more. But this was dope. I definitely appreciate y'all coming on doing this with me.
And we appreciate you having us too. And that's the beauty of this delineation movement. That's the beauty of it. We are linking, we are unifying within our own group and doing some straightening, with our own group and the tethers. Because I don't want everybody to get mad. Not everybody from the diaspora is a tether. But if you operate against us, if you're talking reckless, you are a tether. And we're going to point that out to you each and every chance we get.
Big fact.
And if you on the right side and you rock it with us, you rock. That's it. Just don't let us catch you out of pocket. It's going to be a problem.
Big facts.
I just want to address one thing that he said at the end of that particular video, but I don't think it was the end of the interview. He called for number one, he keeps calling FBA and one, he keeps making it synonymous, FBA and ADOS. It's not synonymous. ADOS is an organization. FBA is a lineage, right? Now the movement is reparations and delineation.
Right.
Those are the movements within that the FBA lineage is taking part in, is pushing forward, is doing work for, got Tim's on the neck for, okay? That is the work that we're doing. But he called it a fraud. And I want to say this, Dr. Umar, who the fuck are you to call anybody a fraud? We ain't seen school. We ain't seen lesson plan. We ain't seen after school program. We ain't seen nothing from the academy that you have stated that. Well, how long has this been? How long? I heard somebody say they was six the first time he started talking about the school, and now they in their 30s.
My son was in third grade. I think he was in third grade. He's 22 now.
And you have the nerve to fix your mouth to call what we're doing a fraud? Go take a look at the bills that we have. Go to bit.ly/BREUCK call to action. Now, for the family, go to that link and you can send the emails. But like I said, we are 100% transparent. So, Dr. Umar, if you don't want to send the emails, you could go to that link and see the bills that we are working to move forward. So that is the work that we are doing, that we have produced. You can see it on the New York Gov website. What are you doing? And don't ever fix your mouth to call us a fraud. And I'll land.
Ebony Storm, I see you backstage. Can you turn your camera on, beloved? If you don't want to be on camera, you could turn your camera back off. But just let me see you real quick while you're backstage. I just want to make sure it ain't no nonsense. Okay, there you go. All right, you could turn it back off if you want to. I'm gonna bring you on now. All right, how you doing, everyone? Ebony? Welcome to the Godcast. It's on your mind.
Thank you. I just saw you guys. I was passing through. I'm about to get on someone's podcast. It's great to hear that everyone is starting to wake up and waking up more into what's going on so we can go forward. I'm usually on Mouthy Megan's, but she hasn't been on in a while since she's had the baby. But I'm glad to hear that more people are talking like we're talking, and I hope more people are independent in their voting stance and don't be fooled by voting Democrat. Let's go over policies. versus facts over feelings. We got a lot of waking up to do. I'm in Philly, so I'm surrounded
Shout out to
over
Philly.
here. Yeah, Philly is surrounded by a lot of nonsense. So I'm hoping that we get more people under the root of Trump. Not saying that because I voted for Trump, not because of everything that I agree with, but we did need to stop the immigrant on flag of them coming into the country. I hope that we can convince more people in our families and our community to do the same, to stop going for feelings and just not get triggered by the Democrat troll of racism. I thank God everybody's noticing how Pan-Africanism is an ideology set up by the white man. So we have to under and understand what pan under is in reference to. It is just that, an ideology that was giving you this fake sense that you're fighting against the system of white degeneracy. So let's wake up to that and just keep pushing forward. I will be listening, and I thank God for more panels like yours, and maybe I'll visit from time to time. And you just keep up the good work, and thanks so much for the message that you're spreading. And everyone have a good one. Peace
All
out.
right. Appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel.
I sure will.
All right. Peace. Have a good one.
You too.
And also on that link that Breuck mentioned to y'all at the very bottom, there's a link that takes you to voter.org so you can get out of the Democrat and Republican parties and re-register as independent non-party affiliates.
Okay. All right. Well, we getting ready to close up shop for the night. Again, I thank y'all both for coming on. I love y'all, man. Powerful sisters, man. Y'all make me feel good. I mean that. You know what I'm saying? We had to do this. I had to get y'all on here. And when I reached out to Breuck, I wasn't even sure about the whole idea. I just know I wanted y'all to come on. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't even sure. I was thinking of everything while I was talking. I was in your DM like, we should do this, we should do that. Matter of fact, let me you know what I'm saying? But thank you, Breuck, for orchestrating this and helping putting this thing together. And yeah, like I said, man, come back soon. So
I'm on a world tour with Muhammad, my man, going each and every place with the mic in my hand with these emails right here. Because that's what we need the family support on these emails. And can I mention one thing that I think that, and it's the first time I'm ever mentioning this, right? I got a DM, and I'm gonna try not to cry. I got a DM from a sister who works in the prison system. She works on a death row. I don't know what you call it. I'm not
ward.
Yeah, there you go. A death row ward. She said that she has gotten over 50 death row inmates to send emails.
Wow.
Could you imagine?
Wow.
Like, your last will and testament is that you want to make sure that your name goes down in history for what we are doing. And, I appreciate everybody's emails, but those 50 emails touched me to my soul. And so, that's what I mean when I say be a missionary with these emails, and I don't own them. This is the family's email. That link is the family's link. Share it with anybody who will listen, because this is how we are going to make history together. So regardless of those, and if they are listening tonight, those 50 inmates, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for you taking the time to do that and stand with us. It means so much to me, so much to the family, so much to the lineage. And I thank you for making history. And I'll end it right there. So this is man, Wendy Williams used to say, I'm a huge Wendy Williams fan. And I know she's a little problematic, but look, I grew up on her. Wendy Williams used to say, when they listening to you in the jails, you made it. And so I thank that sister for doing that, because from what I hear, that wasn't easy for her too. She incurred some backlash. I won't
I
say who
bet.
she is,
I bet.
but I want to thank her as well. But she is a missionary with these emails, and I would hope that the rest of you can be missionaries as well. She doing it in a place that's not so welcoming, but you could take it to your church. Come on. Look, the elders are pissed right now. See, our numbers are growing, right? Because the elders are pissed about what they're hearing from Shaduki. You know what I'm saying? When they heard that on that Grammy, they pissed. When they watched that Super Bowl, they pissed. Come on, now is the time. Strike while the iron is hot. Hot. Get them to get their angry thumbs moving. You know what I'm saying? To send those emails, because it takes less than 15 seconds per email. It's a very fast process. You know what I mean? So it doesn't take very long. So get them to send those emails. And I'm going to say that link one more time because I ain't playing. bit.ly/BREUCK call to action. Thank you so much.
No doubt.
I love you guys forever.
No doubt. Mama Love, I don't know if you still in the chat, but if you here, or anybody, any of my family members, if y'all here in the chat, don't you remind y'all Star? I swear, RP to my cousin Star, man, but you give me my cousin so bad, it's crazy.
Oh, I'm so glad I could bring good memories. I hope good memories.
Oh yeah, great memories. Great.
I'm
One of my
so glad
favorite people ever. One of my favorite people ever. But Sister Keisha, your final words as we bring this to a close tonight.
Like my little sis said, please continue to send those emails. It's very, very important. Also, this is a chance for you to get your name written in history, because those emails, when it's all said and done, will be logged into the New York State Archives. So you want to make sure that your legacy is solidified by sending those emails. Also, continue to share with your family and your friends, as she said, taking with you to the barbershop, let your barber know to send those emails. Everybody don't have to be FBA to send them. You can be an ally of FBA to send those emails. And we truly, truly appreciate you in that capacity. But also remember that we are at a great time in history. This is a great time to be alive. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. Your great-great-grandparents are waking you up right now. They're waking you up. That's why we all on one accord. No matter if you're a Republican, a Democrat, independent, in the church, in the mosque, it don't matter. Your ancestors are waking you up directly and saying, get out there and fight. Fight for what was done to us. Achieve greatness on our behalf. Make sure that you attain tangibles. Get that money that was owed to us. Forget the naysayers. Your direct ancestors are waking you up right now. Continue to follow us. Continue to follow Sincere to Love God. Our sister Nicey Girl. Make sure you follow her. Stay in tune with what's going on. Share this information. Sit down with your family members. Have a discussion about it. The children in your family, the elders in your family. Prior to us on this world tour, I sat down with the elders in my family. And I got schooled on a whole lot of things. So do that. Have conversations. Use it as a mechanism to bring y'all closer together. Mm-hmm. And I land there, and I wish nothing but the best for all of you. And we're going to continue to rock out. We're going to make history. We are making history.
Right.
Thank you. And I don't really got too much closing words. I'm just going to reiterate. Send them emails. And always remember, family, I am not the master teacher. We are not the master teachers. We are just the master students and signal boosters for the voices of the new Black media. And that does it for today's episode of Sincere Love the Godcast. Appreciate y'all for watching. We out of here. Peace and Black love.